nice to stay all positive.
I know. The abuse came a couple of days later, but that's fine. And then, yeah, I literally made a conscious decision because you could sit there until 6 a.m. if you wanted, but I was like, just turn it off. Forget it's there and just hope for the best.
There's a lot that I love about this song, but first and foremost is the amount of electric guitar and how loud it is, and it's awesome. Tell me about, I mean, when we think about Flicker, that was a lot of acoustic songs, a lot of ballads. Tell me about the evolution to a big rock track.
Yeah, I guess I kind of touched on the rock aspect on the first album with songs like Mirrors and obviously Slow Hands has got that 80s kind of 80s rock pop type thing with the riff and the drums and stuff like that. So I thought, based on the success of Slow Hands, that I could probably just branch out a little bit more than I initially thought, because, you know, I keep saying it, but at the time Slow Hands probably shouldn't have been as successful as it was, because there's a lot of different music.
I don't think anybody here agrees, but
but I mean, I'm comparing it, you know, I'm being realistic. There's a lot of like different type of music on radio and you're just trying to find your slot. So that's what I've been trying to do now, is just trying to be as different to the rest of them as possible to stand out. Because I guess that's why Slow Hands was so successful the last time, was because it stood out from all the rest of it.
You've said this was inspired sort of by a half-true story.
Yeah.
You take one little nugget of it and then you build something else. Is that your preferred method for songwriting? You want to just have like a one-moment inspiration, or do we take all of these as Dear Diary, like this whole thing happened?
I wouldn't. Some of them are Dear Diary. But I mean, all of the greater movies that are based on a true story are usually full of lies. So I just kind of, I literally see, you know, when it comes up at the start of the movie, it says based on a true story. That's what you should just look at, because you try and make your story better. You know, I mean, if I was to tell you what I had for breakfast this morning and then just elaborate it a little bit more, I could make it sound as jazzy as I wanted.
You wrote this with a lot of familiar names, actually, a lot of the people who wrote Slow Hands with you.
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you became a solo artist, how long did it take to find the people you would go back to time and time again to write with?
Well, I obviously, the way I look at everything is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, we've had success previously, myself and Julian and Ruth Ann. We've written loads of stuff together, Slow Hands, and like 1D stuff and stuff like that. So, and then so I was like, that's a no-brainer. We did well on the last album. I obviously worked with new people. Just Greg Kirsten, who produced a lot of the album too. But like, it was just, I didn't want to go, like, just for the sake of it. And I know how diverse we are when we sit down and write. Like, we've written, like, Julian had me produce Flicker, for instance, but also we wrote Slow Hands together. So we know that when we get in a room, we don't have to overthink it. And Julian is the perfect person to be in a room with when you're looking to search for a different sound, because he's not set in. His view is the people just want to dance and sing along. And
He's not wrong.
No, he's not. And like, I was always really picky about what drums to use, and like really like rootsy and you know, thinking I was in the Lumineers or something. And I was always really particular. And he said to me, actually, when we were making this song, and he was like, all those bands that you like, they weren't trying to look for drums from 20 years ago. They were looking at what was good at the time, and then it like clicked in my head. I was like, yeah, actually, you're right, and people do just want to dance.
Tobias Dresso Jr. is also one of your collaborators, and he is very known for a very beautiful ballad, and you've got some very beautiful ballads in your catalog. But together, you guys write rock songs and you pump each other up. I'm curious, what about that connection? All of a sudden, you kind of go out of your own lanes in some way.
Again, me and Tobias are quite similar. We're lunatics, but we tend to write our best songs are our saddest songs. Like he wrote When We Were Young with Adele, and they get on like a house on fire, and you can see exactly why. And I get on really well with Tobias. He's just a legend. Everyone that meets him just can't help but like get excited by him. His energy in the room is unbelievable. He's one of those people that's running around shouting lyrics. And then there's me too. A lot of screaming. And then we've written songs that you would never think we're capable of. Like we wrote Slow Hands and Nice to Meet You together, and from the same guys who wrote When We Were Young and other things. But yeah, I just love being around him, yeah.
you're sitting on a lot of new music right now, and I'm curious, after 2 years away, when you're trying to figure out what do I say, what do I make my big intro return track to be, how did you pick this one?
I have a lot of songs that are, you know, in your face, and more so than the last album. It's definitely a lot more, I would say, up-tempo, just a little bit more produced than the last one.
Okay.
So, because I was thinking about that, I keep saying, yeah, it's more up-tempo, but then I listen to the songs and they're actually not that fast. Yeah, it's not. They're actually not tempo-wise. They're not that fast. But this one just stands out. And I think it stands out now, and it'll stand out amongst the album. And I just thought, like I've been saying it all week, that I just wanted to make as much of a splash. Like my last album cover was a picture of my face, square on, and this time I'm wearing a sparkly shirt and sunglasses. So I was like, well, yeah. Might as well.
Might as well. I want to talk about the rest of that new music, but first I think we should talk about the music video that came with this song. It's very cool. It is a one-night stand, but filmed in reverse. It's sort of like builds up. Yeah. Just go with it. I'm curious, how involved are you in storyboards and concepts, or does someone come to you and say, wouldn't it be great if we did this as the video?
Yeah, the concept I didn't fully come up with. I mean, all you have to do is listen to the lyrics and watch the video. It kind of tells itself. I don't like to have to overthink it. Like, oh, well, the lyric. But in terms of the way it was shot, I was heavily involved in that. It was done on one camera. It was only about 6 or 7 different shots, but we had to do them like spin the camera around at the perfect time, and it took so long because the lights have to be right. The cameraman has to do the right thing at the right time, because we were trying to match lyrics up, so at the next scene I sing the next lyric in that line, and it was actually really painful to shoot. But like things like breaking the fourth wall, where, you know, I'm talking to you and the camera's over there, I wanted to do that kind of like Scorsese-esque. I wanted to do that once in the video. Just kind of like the way it's shot. I wanted to step out. I had like Guy Ritchie in my head, the way he like flips the camera, and it could be like point to the floor, and then it'd come out and it'd be like a glass of wine or something.
So you're a big movie fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's always interesting. Music artists have such different relationships with music videos. It's either the worst part of the job or the best part of the job.
No, I mean, they're absolutely horrendous to shoot. Their days, they're so long. I did like 2 12, 13-hour days on them. And I had a bit of a dodgy stomach as well, which wasn't great. I won't get into that. I'm not going to lie, Central London on a dodgy stomach is not fun.
Let's talk about the rest of the music that will presumably come in the sort of near future.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, very few people have heard it. You know, it's very private, it's yours. When you listen to it, are you surprised in any way about what you were writing about or what you were gravitating towards sound-wise?
Yeah, a little bit. I suppose Nice to Meet You kind of took me by surprise. But then again, that main riff is the kind of thing I pick up and play on the guitar when I turn on the guitar in the house, or just like the first thing you do when you pick up a guitar. I wrote that riff like last summer, October summer. I mean, it's one string and one. I need 2 fingers for it. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, and I guess that sound kind of got me going, because I had the riff, and then Tobias started playing the piano. I was like, whoa, where's this going? And you do get.
Then we're off to the races.
Yeah, and I literally, and just went for it. We just like my whole outlook on the whole project is. Last time I like kind of half, because of the type of album I made, I kind of like half cubbyholed myself, pigeonholed myself, and just kind of stuck to. You know what I mean? Like quite a certain type of sound. This time I was like, I'd spent the whole year touring to these guys, and you're standing on stage every night and you see faces, you know what gets people going. Provocative. And you know, like the people just, you know that kind of song that people want to dance to, you know what they want to cry to. You can see it. Like I can see, I have the best view in the house for that. So it's then a case of knowing your audience, and then knowing what I'm also into. So just try to just go in and just write songs and not overthink how they sit. I just go and write the song and dress it up however we want afterwards.
You said obviously touring has been a huge influence on what you wanted to do on this record. It does sound like also a lot of life happened. You know, you went through a relationship and then the end of a relationship and wrote about that. you know, does it feel like when you listen to it, whoa, this is a crazy snapshot of kind of a bizarre time in my life when a lot was changing?
Yeah, I think the last sort of 2 years have been nuts anyway. Like that period between, you know, 24 and 26, like mad when you think about it. Just as a person in general. The songs themselves, I try and the album title was the first thing I wrote down when I started the whole project. It's the first thing I wrote
Tell us
down.
what it is.
No, of course not.
I tried, you guys, I tried.
The album's probably not going to come out next year, so I mean, blowing it in October is just a bit much. But yeah, that was the first thing I wrote down, and the songs start to make sense when you know what it's about. Like it's kind of like the ups and downs of what happens after a breakup. Like you have those nights where you're like, nice to meet you, and then you also have days where you're like, and it wouldn't be a ballad of mine or an album of mine if it didn't have a ballad on it. So there's kind of like the ups and downs, songs written from other people's points of view. You know, kind of looking at things from a different angle. It's not all about me in this. I try to write songs from different angles, and not like I'm so sad.
I'm so interested, you know, as a songwriter, I think that's in your nature to want to explore your own emotions, like you're saying, and delve into that. But when you also have so many people kind of following along with your life story and making headlines, how do you sort of keep the pressure of, I can't not write about this just because I know people are going to try and pick it apart and read between the lines, because I have to write this because the song is true to me?
Yeah, I mean, I just go and write them, and then people can, like, once they don't ask me, they can say what they want. Because I write songs just to like go. Is what I think. What happens after it gets released is nothing got to do with me. It's like people make that their own song, and that was what I was so interested about some songs from the first album. Is because they were so emotional. They're about something completely different. And I was saying this on stage every night. And people are standing there listening to me sing while crying, but they don't know what the song's about. So they've clearly just made a connection with the song about something in their life and made it their own. So if I don't get asked about it, I don't really care.
It's also kind of cool, I guess, when you see that a song then becomes theirs. It sort of transforms.
Oh, it's the most amazing feeling. Like, and it's still now when we do it here, you know, you feel like you're in the song. The violin comes in, the piano comes in, and it feels like some of my songs are quite like I like to write them as like chronological stories. So you can, when the music comes in, you still feel really attached to it, and I'm sure people do too.
It looks like you recorded at least some of this new album at the same studio that you recorded Flicker.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a point in returning to a similar location? Does the sound sort of change based on where you are? Can you record an album anywhere?
I mean, sometimes you walk into a room and you're just like, no. You know, like a stale room. You know, like we wrote in a studio in Nashville this year, and I was just like, you just walk in, you just know it's a cold room, don't like it.
You're cheering while you're saying it's not. That wasn't.
I mean, I absolutely love Nashville. It's nothing. I mean, there's one room in Nashville you're allowed to go in. It could be anywhere. But yeah, you get a feeling that like Julian's studio is like second home to me. That dirty, smelly couch has been there for years. I've sat on it at all hours of the day, written some cool songs on it. Kind of just like hanging out there. We're friends anyway. And then East West, where I recorded Flicker, I went back there a couple of weeks ago to do some strings and record some bits of vocal and stuff. And it was just the memories, like being in the room and like where I sat for days just recording acoustic guitar parts, and the feelings that we had when we were recording like songs like Flicker, and it's just I forgot, because it was like, you know, I've done so much since I did a whole promo tour. I toured for 18 months, that you just go back into this room where you did all of the original stuff. You know,
you've worked with you've worked with some pretty badass women since going solo.
Yes.
You had a duet with Mary Morris. Now, since you guys toured together, I mean, in a whole nother stratosphere of superstar.
She's embarrassing me now.
You've got a song with Julia Michaels. I'm curious, you know, those two women are so different, and they have such different styles in their own right, but yet they're very defined. They know what they're doing, they know what they want to sound like. What attracted you to working with both of them?
And the two of them are storytellers, which doesn't, and I think when you listen to their music, you can tell that they've written it themselves. Like, if you know anything about Julia Michaels, you can know that she's the most honest person that ever walked the planet. with Julia, you find out everything you need to know about her within about 5 minutes. She'll tell you. Same with Maren. Like Maren's, that country style of music is just straight off the heart on the sleeves type stuff. Yeah. Yeah, and I just gravitate towards, like, that's why I love Taylor Swift so much.
What a revolutionary opinion.
Yeah, I just like storytellers. Yeah, basically.
Thinking about Flickr more generally, not that you didn't hope it was successful, but you certainly couldn't have expected, 4 million streams. Slow Hands doing what it did. The enormity of it was crazy. When you went back to write this album, how hard was it to keep that out of your mind and say, I don't have to worry about matching that success, I just have to make this music?
Very hard, yeah. No, when you're doing it, you don't realize what's going on outside your bubble. Like, I'm not a numbers reader, I'm not like unless we're really going for a number one, that's when I become really interested.
The last 4 days, something very mathematical.
Oh God. And yeah, no, I'm not really crazy on that. But like, I think the way I was looking at it was, if I just go and write songs, it's gonna come. Like I couldn't, and I was honestly thinking like that. I was thinking maybe if I pigeonhole myself again, it might not come, because there's only so much you can do within, unless you're like Damien Rice or someone where you just, that's what you do. But I just thought there's only so much I can do there, and I'm also thinking, as I said, I've toured so much that I'm thinking about my next live show. So when I go to tour next time, there's going to be a good, nice, like slow-ish album, and then something with a bit more tempo and a bit more attitude, and there's a nice little blend for a set list.
We talked a little bit about this, but leading that tour for that long, what did you learn? What was the learning curve to being in charge of the set list and also figuring out what people want to hear? How long did that take for you to feel like, I've got this, I'm doing it?
We changed the set list about halfway through the tour, so about 6 months. Okay. I don't know, I enjoy all of that. Like, that side of the things is where you get to be your most creative. You've spent your life, sorry, I apologize. Yeah, it's not a great angle.
Any angle's great.
Look through here, you can see. What's that? It looks ridiculous. It's something different where I'm from. Anyway, sorry, excuse me, what were we talking about?
We were talking about touring.
Yeah.
Sort of preparing yourself mentally for being in charge, I guess.
Yeah, no, I love that kind of thing. I love getting in with the band. We're the biggest crowd of messers of all time. We're always doing there's always some sort of joke going on, but we get a lot done, and we get it done quick, which is weird because we're all lunatics. They look really calm when they come up here. I think it's because they're nervous. But we just have such a laugh, and everyone's got an opinion, like there's no way that my opinion could be right every time. And making the set list is it's fun, when to peak the energy, when to bring it back down, and I just like all that stuff, so it just feels right when I do it.
So with an album coming, certainly some tours being announced at some point,
Yeah.
when do you start preparing? When do you start rehearsing? When do you start thinking about what lights am I going to do? When does all that planning kind of go?
Kind of as we're going, really. I've got a new creative director. She's a good friend of mine for years, and she actually helped me direct the video for Nice to Meet You, and she's going to help me with all that kind of stuff, the stage and the lights and all the in-between merch and all that stuff. So I guess it's like an ongoing conversation. Once I get on the road, this is like my first week of promo, it's been a bit hectic. I've been in London to LA to here, all within about 10 days. So, and then back home and all over Europe, back to that's madness. I just jump on the plane and go with it. And once that settles down, I'll have a good look into it, and when I figure out what type of venues we're going to play, how it's going to look in certain venues, it's just an ongoing conversation. But I think I put this way, there'll be no carpets on the floor anymore, I don't think.
I'm curious, when you start thinking about once promo starts and once this kicks off, it's like what you're saying, you're in 3 different cities in 10 days, it's go, go, go. What do you do to sort of stay sane? Where do you go to relax, to blow off steam?
Well, I try and see as much of the city as I can, but most of the time I just kind of chill. Like I go for like today I finish at what 8, 9 or whatever. I'll just go home. I'll just go back and chill and snooze and watch TV, watch something on Netflix or something, and then yeah, that's it really. And then yesterday I went out for dinner. Kind of the day dependent because I've been to these cities before. Some of them I've seen a lot, especially like New York, LA. I live in LA, I live in London, so I know them. I don't need to see any more of that. So I just kind of stay at home. When I'm when I go to Europe or like if I was going to Paris, I'd have a good look around because for a long time I couldn't go anywhere. So it's nice to be able to walk the streets.
I love that. Because that's all the time for me. But he's
Oh,
going to perform.
I miss it.
Right now.